Hey, welcome to today's Daily Walk. So Saturday version, what we do on Saturdays is Jesus and I do an hour run normally, sometimes 15 minutes, and we talk on a discussion. We have a discussion. And today we talked about violence, and there were some really good points that he made today, so hopefully you hang on to this one. So diving right in. So I'm going to tell you two quick stories. So one, growing up, the second I turned 18, I have an aunt. She grew up in Detroit, still lives there today, and she wanted me to sign like a gun petition, like an anti-gun. That was her thing. And I remember when I was 18, I was like, yeah, get this out of here. I was very mean. I was very rude to her. She's my elder. It was not like me, but I was just very rude. And years went by, and I would always kind of like, oh, there's Aunt Margie with her anti-gun stuff. Hey, I'm red, white, and blue, I want to own guns. And then one day I talked to my mom and I'm like, dude, why is Aunt Margie so like crazy about, the gun thing? And, and my mom said, you know what? She's not crazy about the gun thing. She's crazy about saving children. My aunt has like 2 or 3 master's degrees. She's very, very smart. So she had all the statistics on innocent kids that accidentally kill each other because they find dad's gun, and it's horrible. So, but the point being, we're not here to talk about gun control. The point being is when I understood her why, she's trying to help kids. She's trying to help kids. Now, I still didn't agree, but when I understood why, it changed my heart, and I felt so ashamed. I'm like, oh my gosh, Aunt Margie, when I was 18 and I was really rude to you, I'm really sorry. I didn't know really why you wanted me to sign that. I'm still not going to sign it, but my gosh. And then I had a complete change of heart. Another story, more recent, is, Eric and I don't have kids, but we're around a lot of my nieces and nephews. And one of them, Stella, they all cry. And I would get so upset. They would cry at 4 a.m. And, I'd be like, oh, and then they'd come in my bed and jump on me at 6 a.m. And I remember literally locking the door. I'm like, get these kids away from me at 6 a.m. Until one day I'm like, why do they do that? Well, then I found out that Stella has a hyperactivity. God bless her little soul. She's 3 years old, and if she doesn't take her medication, she will be up all night. I've witnessed it. It breaks my heart. Her parents, it's tough for her. And then the kids, the reason that they would come in at 6 a.m. is they had joy in their hearts and they wanted to see Uncle Shark. And I'm locking the door. So when I asked why does Stella cry all the time? Why do these kids want to jump on me at 6 a.m.? Completely different response. Completely different. So what Jesus was saying is, you got to look at the why, and the why makes all the difference, and it changes the heart. So the $1 million question, I think that maybe a lot of you, because the title of this is violence, and in neither of those cases was I, confronted with violence. But the $1 million question is, all right, well, this is what I asked Jesus. This is exactly what I said. I get that. I get that 100%. The why matters, okay? Violent people might be upset, they might be oppressed, they might be angry, and I don't want anyone, they might be hurt, really hurt inside. So let me ask you this, Jesus, all right? Or actually, he asked me, he goes, all right, so now let's talk about violence. You're sitting home, you're having your date night, a home invader comes in. Home invader comes in, you see an angry person, you see a hurt person, you see a violent person, you see a confused person. I'm like, yes, because I'm in the why stage. What do? I go, and I told him, and that person wants to have harm to you and Erica. I said, I get my AR and I put him down. That's exactly what I said, okay? And that's when Jesus said, okay, so that was your reaction. Now, let's take the same situation, and I want that person to be your brother. So your brother, he's angry, he's confused, he wants to do you harm, he's hurt. He comes into your house, home invasion. What do? I'm like, well, I grab my AR, and it's my brother. I'm going to stop him. I'm going to defend my wife. I'm not no marksman. I'm not the greatest with the gun. So I would try my best to shoot him in a non-lethal place, but he's going to be stopped. I'm going to defend my wife. There's just no other two ways about it. And he said, okay, so your reaction or your response to an earthly brother was different than your response to a godly brother. And that's kind of when it sunk in. I'm like, man, okay, yeah, you're right. My response was different. So he said, what if you responded the both way? Because the result was the same. The result is you stopped Erica from getting hurt. You stopped her you stopped the home invasion. All right. So Jesus made 2 points with that. He said, one, when you come from a place of Christ, come from a place of love, your reaction and your response start to look the same. Okay. So in both cases, the first case, I reacted. And did you hear how I said it? I put him down when I was talking about my godly brother. I put him down. It's kind of like what we say about dogs, right? You know, we don't say that about human beings. We don't put human beings down. We put dogs down. But then when it was my earthly brother, I was like, oh, well, I would defend. My vernacular changed, but the result was the same. And here's the ripple effect of this. So Jesus said, Jesus, one and the same, said, well, what about if you were that in those two situations, you were around the campfire with your younger nieces and nephews that say they're 12, 13, and they asked you, hey, Uncle Jesse, what happened that one day that you had that home invasion? And let's say under the first scenario, I would be like, oh yeah, this guy came in, you don't mess with the Dales, I put him down, killed him. I would be glorifying violence in that scenario. They'd be like, oh, you're so strong, Uncle Jesse. I'd also be glorifying myself. In the second scenario, I would say, you know what? A really confused, angry person came into our house, and I had to defend your auntie, and I defended your auntie, and we pray for this person. We pray that he's making his way to heaven, and that he's healing on the inside. Those two responses, one is going to glorify violence to my nieces and nephews. The other is not. The other is going to teach them that violence is not the answer in any situation. Sometimes it must be a response, but it's never good, if you will, okay? Killing another human being is never good, even when it has to happen. All right, so those would be the two different reactions and responses. So that was kind of our conversation today that we had. I think it was very impactful because now I'm reacting. I'm coming better from a place of calm. Okay, so when I see violence and I see the why, I'm thinking, okay, it needs to be dealt with. 1,000,000% needs to be dealt with. But how are we reacting or are we responding? You know, when we stop violence, are we stopping literally children of God, or are we seeing something different? Okay, now that needs to be stopped either way. I mean, the home invader is stopped either way, and the home invader may die in both scenarios. You know, when you respond, but the whole point is to respond with a heart, a Christ-like heart, instead of reacting with an earthly heart. And a lot of that is after the fact. You know, like in the home invader example, the one example was like, yeah, I got him, I'm so happy. The other example was like, hey, I had to do what needed to be done. And that has a completely different ripple effect in the world. So I hope this makes sense to you. Again, these are conversations that me and Jesus have, so they may not make very good sense to you, but they make a whole lot of sense to me. And as I look at violence in the world and I see hurt people, I see oppressed people, I see, you know, people coming out of lack or scarcity, they need to be stopped from hurting other people, but it's the demeanor that we stop them. It's the demeanor that we look at them and have justice, because it's God's justice, not necessarily our worldly justice. So hopefully this helps bring a little bit of calm into your life. If you ever confronted, there's a book called The 4 Agreements. It's never about you. It's always about what they have in their heart. So again, in that first example, my heart was hard. Oh, I put them down, okay? Where the second example was, hey, I defended my house. I did what needed to be done, okay? And I prayed for the person afterwards. So in that 4 agreements, it's never about you. When you're confronted with anger, when you're confronted with hatred, when you're confronted with violence, that person is the one that's hurting, okay? Now, do what needs to be done every time, please. Please do what needs to be done, because that was another thing that Jesus and I talked about. I'm like, Jesus, I don't want to be weak. He's like, well, what is weak? He goes, what is weak? In the first scenario, you look like a hero. Rambo, he's a hero, dude. I used to watch Commando. Arnold Schwarzenegger, loved him. Hero, because they took vengeance and they stood on the bodies, and you know what I'm saying? If you saw like the last Rambo, it was crazy what he does for vengeance. And he's like, that's those are the people that are getting the earthly heroicism. But it's easy. It's very easy to go with your fleshly reaction. Oh, I'd put him down. That's easy. And yes, you probably will get more popular vote that way. So do the hard. I made you to be the man that you can make you, that I made you into be. And that means that sometimes you're going to choose hard, because sometimes the walk with Jesus isn't the easy walk. So I'm like, all right, will there at least be a party for me in heaven if I, yeah, we joke, you know, but it's not taking the easy, turning the other cheek is not taking the easy way. Okay. Or if you do need to defend yourself, and you do need to defend yourself in a aggressive or a violent way, taking calm and peace to pray for the person that you just stopped. That's probably one of the hardest things in the world. We're talking about forgiveness now. You know, someone comes at you with violence, and you got to do what needs to be done. You know, he's telling us we need to pray for that person, make sure that person, you know, walks with Jesus and gets into heaven. Woo! I'll tell you what, man, I'd rather do push-ups till I puke for 10 days straight than pray for the person who just attempted to assault me. So hard is our path. And it's also the path to our joy, to our peace, to our shalom, as they say. All right, well, hopefully this makes sense. I would love to hear any opposing views. Again, these are just conversations I have with Jesus. You guys might have different conversations with them. He might be telling you maybe some different things. So I appreciate everyone tuning in. You guys have an amazing weekend.